because of this whole element of surprise thing, right? I thought Wilder's going to be a lot smarter in this fight. He's going to know what you're gonna do, Tyson Fury. So he's going to have his wits about him. He's going to be a bit more clever, and so he's going to be able to last, right, a bit longer at least. So when I saw that knockdown, I was surprised. I was like, "Whoa, that's not part of the script here,
bro." I was there
that early.
watching. I was like, "Oh, bro." You know, early hours, man. I couldn't even make so much noise as well in the yard.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you. But I was like, "Hang on, wait, bro. This ain't part of the script here."
No, I didn't expect that in the early rounds like that.
This is what I'm saying. But then when I think about it.
Hi there, guys, and welcome to A Dash of Sports episode 52. I'll be your host and presenter, Dashiki Dash, and on this show is where I talk about all things sports related, hot topics, and trending stories. And if you like the previous episodes, hey, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Also remember to press the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my shows. And one last thing, sharing is caring, so don't forget to share this. So, in today's show, I'm going to be discussing none other than the epic fight that took place this past weekend. Fury versus Wilder 3. The trilogy is all said and done, and I tell you what, if you didn't watch this fight, I feel sorry for you, man. You missed one hell of a fight, but don't worry. I'm going to be going into it, a post-fight reaction, and I couldn't talk about this by myself. I couldn't discuss it by myself. So I had to invite a special guest onto the show, someone that was just as gassed as I was to watch the fight, and still gassed up until now, way after the fight. And that's none other than Mr. Budge, aka Talk to Budge, who joined me on the show to help me break down everything about the fight itself, and also discuss what's next and who's next for Fury and Wilder. Without further ado, let's get straight into the show.
Welcome, people. Welcome to A Dash of Sports. You know, the channel that brings you all things sports related, hot topics, and trending stories. And today, we cannot slide by this. The biggest fight probably in forever that just went by. If you don't know, if you've been hiding underneath a rock, then man, I need to tell you, you missed out on Fury versus Wilder 3. And normally I'll come onto this platform and just talk it up on my own, but I cannot do that. I had to bring on Mr. Budge. What's happening, my bro?
What's good, my guy? I'm too gassed. Even after the fight, I'm still so excited about it, bro. And so, yeah, man, just like you said, it's not one of those fights that you can just talk about by yourself. Like, we have to.
No way.
We got to chop it up, man. And yeah, man, like, what better platform to do it on than A Dash of Sports, bro?
I appreciate it, my bro. Just obviously for all the viewers and stuff, like, just shout out all your stuff and, you know, who's Budge? Who's Mr. Budge, man?
Yeah, so me and two of my friends started a football podcast a little while back. I think it's been two and a bit years now. And we started off just by covering games, giving our thoughts of the weekend's fixtures and that kind of thing. And then it started to pick up where journalists caught wind of what we were doing and wanted to jump on and join us in our analysis. And the thing about it is the reason why it's a bit different is that we will always try to do our research and like we would always like try to come to episodes or do things that cover a different angle of games or different angle of teams and that kind of thing. So it's not just the very base level WhatsApp group chat discussions about who's better, KDB or Pogba. It was more about, okay, cool. Where has this player played before? Who's trained with this player? You know, what stats can we get from different resources and bring that to the table so we have a bit more of a rounded discussion and debate about certain topics within the game.
Okay.
And then we started branching out even further where we would interview different people within the game for that same reason, to get like different perspectives. So we would speak to chairmen of football clubs. We speak to coaches, we'd speak to managers, we'd speak to ex-pros, we'd speak to current pros, we'd speak to, different people that work for the FA and that kind of thing. Again, just
Wow.
so we can have a very rounded view of the game
Yeah, yeah.
and different perspectives and that kind of thing in it. And it just went from strength to strength. And we've had the privilege of interviewing people like Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
we spoke to Rio Ferdinand, to Kieran Trippier, John Joe Shelby, Stuart Webber, who's the sporting director at Norwich, for example.
Okay.
Jermaine Defoe. We've spoken to so many different people, and it's just been so enriching to be able to be able to speak to different people in the game. People that have been our idols growing up, and that we've watched on our TV screens. And there's something for everyone. Like, there's been episodes that have been a bit more jovial and fun, where we're just bantering and chopping it up with the guys about their lives away from the game. There's been heartfelt and deep, thought-provoking episodes where there's people speaking about the ups and the downs that they've been through in their careers.
Okay.
The things that people might not necessarily be privy to. And so it's a real rounded kind of platform. And then very, very recently, I started up my own channel, which is Talk to Budge, because our platform in the Beautiful Game podcast, which you guys can check out on YouTube, it's the Beautiful Game podcast.
100%. I'll put the links in the description, everybody. Make sure you go and check that out.
100%, man. So on all social platforms, you can find us. But because the platform is more generically about football, being a big Arsenal fan, I kind of wanted to have a platform where I could talk more about Arsenal specifically.
Yeah.
But then also my other passion in boxing.
There we
which
go.
I didn't really get an opportunity to do so on the Beautiful Game.
Yeah.
And so, naturally, it was always going to be a matter of time that me and Dash linked up, because we're both Arsenal fans and we both love boxing as well. So it's just like,
yeah,
it's you know what I mean?
It's made. Bro,
100%.
listen, as soon as we got the the link up, shout out to Coach G, Gerald Lammy, for being a link up with there. And it was just literally that, I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm a sports fan primarily as well. So it's just like, you get to the position where you want to talk about what you want to talk about, innit? So there's no rules, as they say, in what you want to do. Build a platform as you can. And we're here to talk about boxing today. And as you can see, myself and Budge, we've got this massive smile on our face because we're still buzzing. I don't know about you, but I'm still buzzing about this fight. And the reason why I'm buzzing about this fight is because it's one of them situations where I don't know how you felt about going into the third fight, but my reservations on the beatdown that Wilder received in the second fight, it put me in especially when it comes to trilogies. Trilogies are more left to there's a doubt. Why, someone there needed to be a clear winner. We need a third fight to round up this story. But because of the way that Wilder got beat down in the second fight, I was just thinking to myself, why do you need this third fight? No, he needs to go to AJ because that's the fight that we wanted. Yeah. But it was almost like the way AJ lost against Usyk and the bitter taste that it left in her mouth, it was just like, no, we need to get another fight. And once it was like the next few days going into the fight, and we knew that we're getting into our next fight, this was when the excitement hit. I don't know how you felt.
Bro, honestly, do you know what? So I can go back to my feelings immediately after the second fight. And I remember, because I got a lot of stick for it on Twitter, because I said as soon as the second fight ended, I actually said that there is 100% going to be a third fight.
Okay, so you were certain of it.
I was certain of it, right? And a lot of people got onto me on Twitter because they were saying, didn't you watch the fight? Didn't you see how conclusive the ending was? Right?
Exactly.
And I couldn't argue with that. Yes, it was conclusive. He got absolutely destroyed in Deontay Wilder, right? He got stopped. And you know, like you said, when it comes to trilogies, it's often because there's some kind of controversy, or it isn't very conclusive in terms of the
Or if
winner
it's
of
1-1, you know.
yeah, exactly
Yeah.
that, right? And it's even and it's just to settle the score and finally get a conclusive result. But for me, the reason why I was so sure that there would be a third fight is because of the fact that in Deontay Wilder's mind, the second fight ended prematurely.
Okay. Yes.
And
Yes.
purely
Very
because
much
of the
so.
fact that he wasn't given the opportunity to go out on his shield, I knew straight away that in itself would be reason for him to ask for the rematch. And obviously because of the fact that he was a champion, so naturally when it comes to negotiating those big fights, there is often a rematch clause negotiated within the contract, right? So I knew for that reason, Deontay Wilder being a proud man, he's, you know, having knocked down and beaten every single opponent that he'd faced up until that point in time, he's not going to let his belt go scot-free. He's going to want get back, right? If you add to that the fact that he felt that he was betrayed by a person in Mark Breland, his coach, who was at the time very close to him, he wanted retribution. And then after that, right, we heard about all of the reasons or excuses, as some people might say,
Talk it up
that
properly,
came out
man.
from
Excuses.
his camp, right? The excuses about the fact that, you know, he felt like sort of very light going into the fight, and he didn't feel quite right.
Heavy suit.
And the suit was heavy, and his legs had gone from under him, and apparently preparation for the fight wasn't very easy because he had some issues during camp, and all of these kind of things. It just added to the fuel that made me confident that we were going to get a third fight, because there is no way that with all of these factors and excuses and all of these things that still lay around and were up in the air, there had to be a final fight so we could finally see the end of whatever excuses there were, right? And so I was very sure that was going to be the case.
So for me, I caught wind of the fact that there would be a rematch, but I didn't think that it was as, you know, cast iron in terms of like the contract situation, because I thought that the third fight would just be based on a gentleman's agreement, because ideally, if we look at the beginning of the negotiation between two fighters, it's like they were just trying to earn the bag between them and price out AJ, you know what I mean? Because AJ's making all of this moolah, and it's like, all right, cool, together we can make this money. So obviously securing the third fight, which is it's quite unheard of, like to really be in advance, like, all right, we're gonna have 3 fights. So when it was all of this arbitration business and it was like, oh, you know what, it's actually going to court, this has actually been signed into the contract. So once I heard that, I was like, there's definitely going to be a fight. This is serious. Obviously, Fury must have been just like, look, man, I've already done with you. The money is with AJ as well. So I can go and we're going to go Saudi. We're going to go make this money. And obviously, the bits of the contract that was allowing maybe Fury to feel confident was the fact that the time frame, in terms of obviously coming back and saying that we want this fight, and the fact that it went past the time frame. Now, I feel like where Fury flopped is where he was announcing it publicly. If maybe they negotiated the AJ stuff behind closed doors and it wasn't being made like, oh, we've got this fight in the bag, I reckon the judge probably would have been like, look, man, it's gonna happen over there. You've missed your chance. But because they were so brazen and thinking that they can go above this contract, it was 100%. Like, nah. The judge probably thought like, nah, you can't be trying to do a fast one here. And then obviously they've made a fight. Now, obviously, now we're going into the fight. How are you now feeling come, let's just say, pre-weigh-in? How was you feeling? How was you feeling about the fight then?
Honestly, I was excited. I'm always excited when it comes to big fights, right? And especially when it comes to the heavyweight division, because as they say, as the heavyweight division goes, so does the rest of boxing. So when the heavyweight division isn't popping and there isn't much happening, it kind of like
it affects everything else.
The rest of the weight classes. You see what I'm saying? So when you've got the big fights like this, you always know that even if it starts off quietly and slowly, it's going to pick up. Momentum's going to pick up. And when it starts getting to the press conferences and the face off and all that kind of stuff, is when the clamor for the fight really starts to build properly. But to be honest, I didn't even need that. To me,
it didn't really have a big build up, though, did it? It didn't have a really big build up.
It didn't. And it's like it finally caught fire in the week running up to the fight. You know, fight week is when it really started to, because I think up until that point, again, a lot of people were feeling like we got a conclusive result from the second fight. Deontay Wilder got knocked out, or he got stopped rather in that fight. So why are we seeing a third fight? A lot of people felt like that, and I could gauge that also from like socials on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you felt the same way. Like
I felt the same way.
You know what I'm saying? But I think, naturally, when it comes to big fights, it's like I don't know what happens. It's like people's just end up being like, you know what, I'm gonna watch it anyway. And I think what also helped is, you know, both of the camps, when they're being interviewed and stuff, and the questions that they were being fielded and how they were responding to them, there was like a glimmer of hope that started to emanate and build and grow, or maybe not necessarily hope. Maybe hope's not the right word for it, but it's like, you know, that little inkling of like potentially the result could go another
Wilder's
way. Like, you see what I'm saying? And like everyone at first was thinking, this is going to be conclusive. Wilder's going to get knocked out. Fury's going to win. But then as we started to get closer and closer to the fight, some people's stance started to change slightly. And then people started giving Wilder a chance. Like, and I think it was because of the feeling that Fury wasn't able to take this camp as seriously as he could have potentially. You know, his wife Paris obviously gave birth not too long ago, and there were complications with that birth, so he was out of camp for a little while. Seeing to his newborn child,
and the COVID situation as well that he had.
The COVID, him catching COVID, and the fact that the fight had to be postponed. So I think those kind of factors started making people think, well, Deontay Wilder, he's been silent and a silent guy, you know, away doing his thing is dangerous.
It's dangerous. And all the videos that he's posting up.
Exactly that. You know, and then you've got Fury, it's like he's here, there, and everywhere. His mind's not completely focused. So then that started giving people a reason to believe that Wilder has a better chance in the third fight, you know? And so I think that's why people started to change, and why then the clamor started to build for this third fight, because it's like, okay, well, I was sure before, but I'm not entirely sure right now. I'm not completely convinced because of the way that Fury has been approaching this fight.
So where was your stance, just to pick off the back of what you just said, where was your stance as the fight was getting more juicy in terms of the aspect? Because you just mentioned it there. A lot of people would have been like conclusively like, nah, it's Fury going to win. Fury's going to take this. Come on, man. Look at the way he mauled him in the second fight. Now we're seeing Wilder's camp obviously building up. Malik Scott obviously in the building. There's talk of new tactics. There's talk about him putting on weight. He's pushing 250 pounds, you know, bench press, which I thought was a bit ridiculous to just think to yourself, you can go and push some weights and that's going to give you what you need. But once that was happening, where was you now? What camp was you now riding for?
So I was still very confident that Fury would win. But I would say if I was to give it percentages, I would say it was 75% in favor of a Fury win and 25% in favor of a Wilder win. And I think the key factor or the key differentiator and reason for it, and why I also gave Wilder a bit more of an edge, not just because of the whole way that both of those guys were training and the things that I mentioned previously, but it was something that a lot of people hadn't spoken about in terms of the second fight going into the third fight, and that was the element of surprise. In the second fight, a huge part of Fury's success was the fact that he did what nobody expected him to do. He changed his approach completely. You know, we up until that point saw Fury as a boxer, someone who was going to be moving around, fighting from the outside, using his jab and trying to outbox his opponent. He said, and fair play to him, he did exactly what he said he was going to do, but we just didn't believe him.
We didn't believe him.
In the second fight, I am going to press the action. I am going to step forward to the heaviest and biggest puncher in potentially the history of
boxing,
and I am going to knock him out. And we were thinking this guy is just off. He's on one.
We've never bear witness any type of severe knockout from Fury up until God knows. And
exactly that.
And he's used, obviously, go into the first fight, just to go back a bit, that 12th round where he's been knocked down, he's got up, and then he's pressed him. Do you think that was the light bulb moment?
I think so.
In terms of going into the second fight?
I think so, because it's, right, I've taken a clean flush punch from the hardest hitting heavyweight in world boxing. I've managed to get up. So I know that I can take his power.
His power, yeah.
And then when I pressed the action, he didn't really have a response for it, because Fury won. He won that 12th round.
He won.
Despite
being
knocked down,
knocked down, he won it. Yes, by pressing him.
I think, 100%. So I think his mindset changed from that point in time.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with that, because that last round in itself he showed not only to the Wilder, not only to himself, but he showed the world that he can make that adjustment. And rather than waiting for someone, as we were saying, the biggest puncher, a lot of mistakes made by fighters that have been in the ring with Wilder is they've allowed him to dictate, We've not seen Wilder on the back foot. We don't, and obviously clearly we've now seen that he can't, it's just even simple jabbing from on the back foot. It's not an easy feat to do, you know what I mean? The timing has to be different. And then also the timing on his 1-2 that he's renowned for is going to be different on the back foot. You know what I mean? Can you still generate that power on the back foot? So Fury's then realized that I'm heavier than this guy. I'm quicker than this guy. My boxing IQ is by far better. So why am I waiting for this guy? I need to press the game on him. And obviously going into this third fight now, as you said, the element of surprise was in the second fight. I think a lot of people also felt like, okay, what else could Fury really do? Because we're expecting Wilder to change things up. I said this myself. I said it would be an idiotic fool to go into this third fight and not change up your game. So when people are kind of giving Wilder credit, like, he changed up his game, I'm just like, well, what else was you expecting him to do?
What else are you going to do?
He's the former WBC champion. He's well-vast experience in fights. This is not a novice. This is not an underdog coming into the fight. So he has to change this. It would be a great disappointment if he came into this fight and didn't do anything different. So obviously now we're going into the fight. We're going into round one. How are you now feeling?
At this point, it was weird because I was obviously I slept and then woke up in time for the fight, and so I managed to catch even the build up on fight night, right? And it's mad because I'm feeling the atmosphere and I'm not there.
I'm not there. We're not there.
We're not there in Las Vegas, but it's like I can feel it. I can feel how tense things are getting. I can feel like there's a big moment about to happen, right?
And mind you, there's no British fans, so we're not getting that all the lager louts out there in Vegas.
Yeah. We're not hearing Sweet Caroline. You know what I mean?
Even Max Kellerman was like, I hate this song. What's going on with this? Listen, it's the vibe here in the UK. Yeah, but just like you said, like you could feel the atmosphere in the air.
Yeah, exactly that, man. And then you get the entrances for both fighters, the ring walks, and both of them they both lived up to expectations in terms of like how ostentatious their entrances were. What I think a big talking point, I think like a lot of people were, and me included, the one question I had was, what's Wilder going to come to the ring wearing?
And
after
then
all of that chat about food,
and the day before he posted up. So this is where the mind games was coming, because he posted up that, oh, he's going to be wearing this new suit. There was a designer basically posting saying that, oh, this is the suit I'm designing for him, which looked very similar to Fury Wilder 2. I'm thinking, so, oh, you're going to go with this again? And then I don't know if you noticed the delay for him coming into the ring as well. These are the mind games. How was you feeling at that point?
I was thinking, what is going on? Like, why? I mean, me personally, it was selfish for me, because I'm thinking, boy, these guys don't realize that us in the UK here, it's near enough 5 o'clock in the morning, you know?
Man.
Like, my eyes are just like, please, like, I was like,
bro, come out, man.
Please, like, my eyes are heavy.
And then also the glove situation, because we didn't touch on that, like in terms of like the accusations of the gloves in the second fight, and then the build-up of the glove situation in the third fight. I think Malik Scott was in a room where they were just obviously inspecting the gloves, and they were saying that they felt that the gloves were being used already. And then Wilder's then changed his gloves to the MX
last minute.
Last minute. So obviously for those that don't know, there's two types of gloves basically. You got one like which they call as a puncher's gloves, which is more like feathered based and stuff, like inside stuffed. And then you got like another glove basically is more foam based, which doesn't give too much give and molding around your hands. So he's changed to the gloves that Fury had, which is basically like in time it has more of a molding of your fist in the glove and stuff like that.
Do you know what, Dash? Throw it even further back, we saw a similar situation like this with Floyd Mayweather and Maidana.
Yes.
When Maidana was fighting against Floyd, I remember that clip where Floyd was like, there's no padding in this glove. He's not wearing these gloves.
Yeah, he can't wear these gloves.
That's what I'm saying, because basically, like, it's more of your knuckle. Like, you don't have as much padding.
Yeah.
So of course, a puncher, like you said, it's a puncher's glove because they can inflict more damage because there's less padding in it. And Floyd was like, no chance. He ain't wearing
no chance. Not at this stage of my career, anyway.
Yeah. Exactly, man. So it was a similar situation with Wilder.
So we're waiting, literally blurry-eyed, eyes are bloodshot red, pretty much coming towards 5 a.m. in the morning, but we're still excited as I just felt like a little kid again, waiting for Mike Tyson fight. You know what I mean? Now, both fighters, the entries have come in. We've seen now Wilder coming without the suit. What are you thinking then?
I'm thinking, okay, this guy, he's in my mind, I was thinking he's very in control of himself at this point in time. He's played his mind games. He purposely was delaying in the dressing room and whatnot. He is very assured of himself, right? He's been speaking about how much he'd been looking forward to this moment and whatnot. In my mind, I was like, right, this is the best possible Deontay Wilder we can get. Right?
Yeah.
This is it. There's no excuses.
No excuses.
Right. No excuses. He's managed to rest adequately. He's had enough time in camp training.
18 months.
He's 18 months. He's very, very confident. There is no doubt in his speech. Anytime I watch a Deontay Wilder interview on YouTube, he was very assured. His camp is very assured. Malik Scott is very assured. Yeah. And I liked, although there was still, and I know I'm veering off on a bit of a tangent here, but
no, go ahead, man.
Because it comes to mind. Although I was never confident that in the space of time that he had to prepare for the third fight, he could change his style drastically. I was never confident like he could, because obviously you can't teach your old dog new tricks, as they say, right?
No. Tough.
What I was confident in, though, or what reassured me a little more is what Malik Scott was saying, because he was saying, look, I'm not trying to teach him new things. All I'm trying to show to him and what we're trying to get him to do is adjust slightly so he hides his power, so that not every single punch is telegraphed, like that his opponent can see him trying to look for the one shot. It's like, no, I'm just trying to show him to switch it up a little bit, mask certain things, go to the body a little bit more, and then maybe come up top. That made me think, okay, so they're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. They're just trying to cleverly disguise certain things, which I felt was more realistic.
Yes,
doing that in the third fight. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought, okay, yeah, this guy, he's dangerous. He's a dangerous guy. He's assured. He's comfortable. He's had adequate rest. He's been speaking about being surrounded by love and the right kind of people and stuff like that. He's not let off too much. This is a dangerous guy. This is the best possible Deontay Wilder we're gonna get.
Yeah. So then we've obviously we've seen Deontay Wilder stepped up in the ring, looking jacked. He's put on the weight that he felt that he needed. Now we're going on to Tyson Fury, which I felt like it was a bit of a weird. I was a bit taken back by his the whole Spartan thing. But if you know Tyson Fury, he's very much a 300 guy. He's very much Sparta, all of that kind of stuff. But I didn't think that he would do the theatrics as that. But he's coming to the ring. There was rumors that he put on a crazy amount of weight. Obviously, he weighed in at 270. And then obviously fight night is 277, which I didn't feel like it was anything crazy, which once again,
it wasn't.
I feel like it was mind games in terms of like, he's put on bare weight and stuff like that. So he's coming to the ring now. We're seeing the both of them in the ring, and Fury, it started with the cussing and the swearing. I don't know if you noticed that when they were like face to face,
and
straight away,
like opening his eyeballs, like looking at man straight, like
just calling him a bitch, everything like that. I was like, okay, what is, man? Nobody is like looking the other way. They're onto this. There's bad blood, and I don't know about you, man, but like of recent, there's a lot of the business element. I know that there's business in boxing and people are here to make the money, get their bag. I feel like sometimes AJ is overly baited that side of boxing up, because sometimes the pre-fight shaking hands and being all pally. I miss bad blood. I want to know that when you go in the ring, you hate this guy, you want to bang him up. Once the fight is done, then you can be all pally. That old school Mike Tyson, I want to eat your kids and all that.
100%. And that's what's missing. And I think that's part of the reason why sometimes there isn't such huge clamor for fights anymore, or why casual fans can't get into it a bit more, because if you're not someone who's invested in the sport like you and I are, and who actively is going to go out and look for information
for fights,
right? The only way that you're going to be able to do it is if you see viral things happening or whatever on your timeline and stuff. And when there is this bad blood and stuff, naturally it trickles into the casual fans' newsfeed.
That's right.
Like that, on their social media, right? So for prime examples, when we had the press conference between AJ and Jarrell Miller, and Jarrell Miller pushed him.
We want to see that fight. We're like, okay.
You know what I'm saying? We want to see it. And the casual fans starts to tweak their interest as well, because they're like, okay, I'm seeing this thing happen now and whatnot. So let me dig a bit deeper. Let me see what's happening.
Do you think that this is why the exhibition game has kind of been thriving a little bit? Although it's kind of WWE-ish, but we're invested because it's like, these guys are really showing that they don't like each other, although we know it's only an exhibition. But this is the element of the professional game that's kind of missing as of late, because of the fact that we know that you're both earning the bag. We know that you're just going there to fight for the bag, but don't make it bait, man. At least just hide the element, you know what I mean? It's like a magician showing off his trick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like,
bro, I can't agree with you more, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's missing. And that's why you see people like Jake Paul and Logan Paul are doing so well. They're thriving at the moment because it's about the entertainment element to them.
That's right.
The fight on fight night isn't necessarily great. It's not great, but the build up to it, those people know how to sell themselves so
Yeah.
well. In the lead up to Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, Jake Paul is in on the act, and it's like he's part of the whole pay-per-view as well.
Bro,
Because
it's just like it's like WWE, bro. Like, you got to have a heel, you've got to have a face, you know what I mean? And those are the elements that gets us up for the fight and be like, oh, yes. You know what I mean? Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, if you know the history about them, they are friends. They're, Tyson's going over to Lewis's house for dinner. The mums he's cooking for many other boxers that have attended Lewis. You know, Lennox Lewis's mum was like the mum, like, you know what I mean? Every boxer was going to the house, chilling, whatever. So when you're hearing Mike Tyson's like, oh, I'm gonna eat your kids and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and then afterwards, then they're telling you like, nah, man, we're cool, you know. We're actually cool. You have to sell the fight. You know what I'm saying?
You have to sell the ticket.
So we've gotten into this fight. Now let's just, obviously, I know that many people have watched the fight, and you and I, we've watched this fight. I don't know how many times you watched it now, but I've watched it like
multiple times, bro.
Yeah,
like
multiple times, whether it be a highlight, but highlights, or I've watched it twice, like fully, and then a couple of times highlights. We're going into this fight. Round one, as we were saying, that Wilder has now adjusted his game. He's added elements. You're now seeing him. He's jabbing to the stomach area, which is a bigger target to aim for rather than just swinging for the head. He's obviously showing what Malik Scott's kind of implemented. The game plan is being basically implemented. So I just want to get from you, without kind of going into all 11 rounds, from round one, and then you kind of just navigate through the rounds that you felt to yourself like, all right, cool. I can see where this fight is going, and how excited were you to obviously see the fight in itself?
Yeah, 100%, man. It was a proper journey in that fight, man. It was really, really interesting. Like, it was so up and down and back and forth, and
like a movie, innit?
It was like bro. It literally, they could make that film and make it a movie. If we're being honest, they really could. Like, that's how great that
trilogy.
It was, right. So the first round, I was very impressed. I was very impressed because I was like, okay, Wilder is putting into practice what Malik Scott has been speaking about all this time. And it made me think, okay, so this tells me that Malik Scott definitely knew what he was talking about. And he's been able to communicate these plans to Wilder in a way that he's able to then take them on board and follow through. And I was like, wow, like, this was a clear-cut round where I felt that Wilder outboxed Tyson Fury.
Yes,
and I never thought I would ever say something like that. I never thought I would ever be able to say something like that, you know, while Wilder actually outboxed him, you know. And I just thought it was very clever that he was making those early investments to the body, and you could see reddening around the midsection of Tyson Fury. So it was like, it was effective. It was landed.
Which is a larger target for him to aim with instead of headhunting all the time.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I don't really like when boxers headhunt. So the fact that he was switching it up made me think, okay, this is great. If he can sustain this, then you know,
the key thing.
Then we're in for a great fight. But the one thing though that I didn't like on the side of Wilder in that first round was that even though he was seeing success with the attack to the body, I did start feeling like, okay, this is becoming a little bit predictable.
Yes.
You're doing the same thing, albeit you're getting success from it.
It's a bit predictable.
It's a bit predictable. Eventually, what I started to think to myself was, if you carry on doing this, there's going to come a point where Fury's going to read it and he's going to counter you. And he might just counter you with a short, sharp hook.
And that's what I felt.
You're going to get countered.
I felt more in a sense like Fury, and that, obviously we were talking about the element of surprise. I felt like Fury was more, okay, I'm still going to do what I need to do, what I pretty much did in the second fight, but I need to see what you're going to come with. Once I've kind of figured out this is what you're doing, okay, let's get it. So it was more of a sense like he didn't mind giving away the rounds, just kind of feel him out and see. So if it had to be the first, second, I think by the second to the third, if we can go into the third as well, he then realizes, okay, this is what you're trying to do. Body. Let me make the adjustments. So we're going into the third round now, and that's
Big
the
round.
first knockout. What are you thinking?
The first knockdown, I'm thinking, wow, okay. I had it that this fight was gonna go the distance, that it was gonna go, or certainly longer.
Okay, you felt the distance, yeah?
Yeah, I thought it was either going to go the distance, and again, it was because of this whole element of surprise thing, right? I thought Wilder's going to be a lot smarter in this fight. He's going to know what you're going to do, Tyson Fury. So he's going to have his wits about him. He's going to be a bit more clever, and so he's going to be able to last, right, a bit longer at least. So when I saw that knockdown, I was surprised. I was like, "Whoa, that's not part of the script here,
bro." I was there
that early.
watching. I was like, "Oh." You know, early hours, man. I couldn't even make so much noise as well in the yard.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you. I was like, hang on, wait, bro. This ain't part of the script here.
No, I didn't expect that in the early rounds like that.
This is what I'm saying. But then when I think about it, and when I went back to rewatch the fight, I realized that part of it, of course, was the fact that Fury hit him with a great shot. But also another element of it was that at that point, Wilder had already started to fatigue.
Quickly.
He was already blowing at that point. And then I'm thinking, okay, so it's early on in the fight. Why is he gassing out so early? And I think it was a combination of a lot of things. I think it was the fact that he obviously piled on the pounds and added weight.
So
you know,
muscle needs fuel.
The muscle needs fuel. Do you know what I mean? And so he's burning through the oxygen a lot quicker because of that. I think there's an element of that. I think there's an element of the fact that he's not breathing properly as well because of the built-up animosity and rage. So he's like, do you know what I mean?
Very much so.
And I think that's also part of the reason why, I think that's why Fury mentioned prior to the fight, why he was going to come in heavier, because I think he assumed that then Wilder would think he needed to come in heavier. I think that was mind games. I think, like you mentioned about Fury cussing him out before the first bell. I think again that's Fury trying to get him to get so angry,
amped up
that he's using so much of his energy and whatnot, you know. And I think that played into Fury's favor perfectly, because I think that's also part of the reason why Wilder, gassed out so quickly. And on top of that, the final thing I would say on that is that even with the added weight that Wilder was able to put on, he still was significantly lighter than Tyson Fury.
My goodness. What did he weigh? 238?
Bro.
And
so the guy's still like 40 odd pounds, bro. He's still like 40 odd pounds heavier than you.
It's not gonna work.
And pushing a guy. And the thing is, Fury, he was so clever. He done exactly what he done in the second fight, in that third fight, in the way that he was pushing up on him and putting his weight on him and leaning on him and putting him in a headlock and stuff. And bro, to push that kind of weight, that guy around off you, man.
It's very tough, man.
It's so tough. It's
very
so
tough.
tiring. And I think those are the three reasons why Wilder started to gas out so early in the third round, you know?
So then we're going into the fourth. As we said, we're not expecting a knockout in the third. The fourth round now. Because that in itself had me thinking, no. Please. Because I had Fury I originally was like, okay, Fury's going to win. That was from the get-go. Fury's going to win. I had it Fury in the 10th. So I'm not expecting all of this drama now. You know what I mean? I'm just like, it's going to happen in the 10th. Like, you know, once Wilder starts getting tired or whatever, because I'm expecting Wilder to get into this. He's had a good camp. He's had good cardio, whatever not. But I'm not expecting all of this. I've seen the first knockout in the third round. I'm thinking, okay, this might be a quicker fight than I anticipated. Bro. Fury's going to get him up out of there in no time. Fourth round, we're seeing 2 knockdowns. What are you saying, my bro? Because I sat back in my seat.
Do you know what I said? The first thing I said was, well, we got a fight on our hands, people. In my mind, I was like, we've got a fight on our hands now.
Drama, bro.
I was just like, yeah, now it's on. Now it's on. Like, boy, I was not expecting that at all. And the thing is, it was 2 knockdowns. I was thinking, boy, Fury, have you like, you know what I mean? Have you underestimated things a little bit?
Yeah, that's what I felt.
Excited and too cocky and thought, okay, yeah, you're like,
because the look on Fury's face as well when he was getting up, I think for the second one was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, guys. Yeah. Like I've drawn from the well one too many times, and I felt like that's what. Gosh.
And you know what as well, yeah? You know the first knockdown. When I watched it, it looked like Fury. He tried to not go down, but his body said, "Nah, bro.
The legs,
you gotta go down."
Because it got him in the forehead. That just vibrated like, down.
He tried to like resist, but he's like, "Nah, bro." His body went into shutdown. His body was like, "Nah. You can't stand up after a man's hit you like that. Not clean like that.
Solid, clean forehead where there's no like flesh or meat. The cerebral fluids are just going everywhere. He's gone down. So then now he's gone down for the second time now.
Yeah.
You're thinking that Wilder's going to like basically just rush him now.
Yeah, because I'm thinking as well, Wilder is tired now, right? He's dropped you twice now. He's gonna try and end the show now. He's gonna try and jump on you and stop because it's in his best interest to, because he can't keep going. Like he's already gassing out. He had to dig deep to produce those 2 knockdowns. So I'm thinking, Wilder's gonna try and close the show.
And for me, I felt like that was the key moment. The fact that he didn't get him up out of there and he exerted so much, because you remember 4 rounds. I'm sure that Malik Scott would have told him, like, the first few rounds, I need you just to keep to this game plan for now. And then when we get to like the, pretty much kind of coming towards halfway mark, now start going for the head and stuff like, because the whole vibe was just like staying calm. He's exerted himself. Obviously, he's been knocked down in the 3rd round. That's just taking him off his game plan. And I always said that once he's hurt in the fight, he's going to revert back to type. We all have been there. If you've been a sporting person, you've learned something new. I've done like white collar boxing myself or whatever.
Yeah, same,
what I mean? 10 weeks of a training camp. Yeah, you can learn what you learn. But as soon as you starting getting punched in the head a bit of whatnot, you revert to your type. It goes out the window and then it gets into a scrap. Now, let alone us amateurs, white collar guys, what about the professionals? So we've seen now the 4th round has gone in. What other key stages, obviously before we get into the 11th round, what other key stages did you feel was a contributing factor to Wilder losing?
I think like after that 4th round, the fact that he couldn't get him out of there, and the point that you raised, right, about reverting to type, I think he reverted to type not necessarily because he was hurt. I think he reverted to type because he was fatigued. And so
I agree.
He can't stay with the boxing. He can't keep working the jab and going to the body and all of that kind of stuff. And even, what also told me this was his body language in the corner. Malik is speaking to him and telling him all these kind of things, but he's just like, I'm not even trying to hear that. I'm just trying to get my breath back, bro.
Yeah. Not again. He's like, not again, man. I've been down. I'm not again.
This is it. And he wasn't taking in any of the information that was being given to him. And I feel like that's what kind of directed the flow of traffic for the remainder of the fight. It was just the fact that he was so fatigued, he had to revert to type and had to just rely on the 1-2 and setting up the right hand, his atomic bomb. And that it worked perfectly for Fury because he was so tired. He couldn't keep up with the pace. Fury is obviously, I don't know how he does it. He's a freak of nature, man. Because for him to look the way he does and carry the weight that he does, but still be so well conditioned, to be able to fight the way he does in every single round in the fight, I think is absolutely bonkers. And so the rest of the fight was very easy for Fury, and it was just really a matter of time after that point, because everything that Wilder was doing, albeit with heart and determination, and the fact
if it wasn't for the heart and determination, let's just put it right. I don't think Wilder's really surviving those rounds.
No. Bro, he was running on empty. The only thing he had was his heart. He was running on just pure heart.
Yeah. Got to commend him for that.
100%. And that leads me to a very key moment in the 10th round, which was the next knockdown for Fury.
That was my round, bro. I needed that round.
That round was mad. And I remember before the knockdown, the sequence, I think it was a right hand from Wilder, that Fury could see. He preed it from far. He rolled the punch, and then Wilder's he's so out of position and off balance, and he's so tired that he can't adjust himself. So Fury's got all the time in the world to pick his punch, and hits him with such a clean right hand.
Right. The back foot's gone. The back foot's gone behind. And the thing about it, it wasn't more so the fact that the punch was devastating. It was just the fact the timing of it all is what got him. Because for your foot to go underneath you like that, and you're grabbing on and you're holding on, it was the timing of it, man. It was the timing.
Bro, the timing was so perfect. Like, the whole move from Fury was wonderful. Like, if you see, he sees it, like, he looks at it, like, in the corner of his eye, he sees a punch coming, he rolls it, takes his time, bow.
Bam.
Short, sharp right hook. I was like, this is a thing of beauty, bruv. That is beautiful.
So at that point, I'm thinking there's got to be a stand. Well, obviously, he gets the standing count, but I'm thinking it's going to be done. Because I don't know what round it was when the doctor came in and it was like, kind of, I was like, ooh, it might be. I know that it wasn't, I know it wasn't the case they would throw the towel, but I was thinking maybe they're going to be like, get the doctor in. At least with the doctor, it could be more legit for Wilder to take. You know what I mean? More of a softening blow rather than the coaches. Because if it's out of the coaches' hands and the doctor saying, "Listen, you can't go on," then you can't really argue the fact.
Yeah, but you know what, Dash? In my mind, when I saw that happen, and I saw the doctor come in, I was like, "No, I don't want this to happen." Because it's still an excuse that he can hide behind.
100%.
And we don't want to see another fight or whatever.
I was like that. So I was like, come on, doctor, man. Just go out of the way, man. Come out of the ring.
Yeah, this is it. I didn't want him to call it off, because then he's got another excuse and a reason to say, I was hard done by. It had to be decisive. No excuses. Conclusive.
Absolutely. So now we're going into the 11th round, bro. The drama is just not ending. It's not ending. We've gone in, because even at one point in time, I think I can't remember what round it was, but I think Wilder just gave it his last saloon kind of trying to punch his way out. And obviously Fury at times was kind of saved by the bell. Let's not give Fury all the he had it all his way. There's times where like it looked like Wilder was getting onto him, but then the bell rang, and then it was just credit to Fury in terms of his recovery, going into the corner, recovering and coming back out. Like, he's getting his second wind. We've gone now into the 11th round. Let me know how you're feeling at this point.
Boy, at this point, I'm just thinking, has Wilder got enough to see this out the entire fight? Like, can he really do this? I was thinking, boy, if he manages to, because at that point I thought, like, he's out on his feet, man. Like, we know what the result's going to be, but it was a matter of, is it going to be ended early, or is he going to see the 12th round, the end of the 12th round? You know? And so that's all I was thinking. Is it a matter of time? Is it just that Fury's taking his time, he's biding his time, he's being patient, and he's going to try and get him out of there? Because I thought actually going to go to the 12th.
I thought, like, you know what? At this point now, Fury's just thinking, or maybe his corner just thinking, listen, just take your time now. You've got him. You know what I mean? Box, because obviously you're hearing Sugar Hill saying, just box him now. Although the game plan was to go and get the knockout, but at this late stage of the fight, you don't want to make any mistakes. Championship rounds, just go and get the job done now at this point. But now we're seeing the setup to the knockdown. How are you feeling at that point?
Boy, I don't even know, bro. I had so many different feelings like running through me at the same point in time, man. But I was just like,
oh, now go on.
Wow.
Game.
Wow.
Do it.
Yeah. I was just like, this. I just kept on saying, this fight is crazy. This fight is absolutely crazy. Wilder is absolutely crazy. To keep getting up, to keep getting hit. Because at this point, Fury is hitting him at will.
Clean
Punches.
At points I was thinking to myself, you know what? I don't want to see this no more, you know? It got to that kind of vibe, like, like this is actually getting to that borderline dangerous level where if you're fully getting punched, and you no longer have the reactions to kind of roll punches or, you know, kind of ones that kind of, you're getting hit, but it's
grazing
skimming, it's grazing. If you're getting it in your head, I know this is, I'm comparing it to like a film or whatever, but we saw in Rocky when Drago hit him with that flush one and your head goes back. These are all brain damage kind of things, you know what I mean? Like you might not feel the effects now, but the after effects of it, you know what I mean? And we saw like at the end of the fight, his ear was still bleeding. So that clearly shows it wasn't a cut in the first, in the second fight. He has some sort of damage that's been going on there.
100%.
He's up against the ropes now. The combinations are coming in. And just before the final blow, what are your thoughts at that particular time?
Yeah, at that point, I'm thinking, he's gonna get stopped, man, because he's not defending himself. He's not able to like stop Fury, and it's like you said, Fury kind of got a second wind, and he's just now he's not just throwing ones and twos. Now he's throwing combinations. He's trying to get him out of there. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm thinking either he's gonna stop him, or the ref is gonna jump in and wave it off because there's nothing coming back. There's no feedback from Wilder. It's all one way. You see what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, it's just a matter of time now, you know. And then when he finally hit him with a, I think it was a right hand, didn't it?
Right hand.
Over by.
He's got him. He's missed with the left. That momentum to come back is such a vicious, because you're putting everything into it, and he's caught him flush. It was so bad, the fact that it was so bad that he was even trying to keep himself up. The will of the man, like that would be one thing that I would say. Not the fact that he came into the fight and he came with a new game plan and everything. Like I said, I expected that. I'm expecting you to come into a championship fight and giving your all in that aspect. But it's just the will of him to still trying to save himself. But he went down into the fetal position, sleeping. And that was that, man. Gone.
That's it, man. And I just said, I was just like, wow. Like, damn.
I woke my kids up, man. Early hours. I was like, the noise that was being made. I was just like, I could not hold it in because I was fully entertained by that fight. And obviously, when I hit you up and I was just like, bro, I'm still gassed about this fight. You know what I mean?
I'm still reliving it in my mind now. Like, we're talking about it. I remember everything so vividly in my head, bro. I'm like, that. And as soon as it ended, obviously, after I got over the shock and I was like, right, it's actually ended now. And obviously you hear the commentators and the live crowd are all going crazy.
Going crazy.
Raw. It's like, after all of that, I thought, you know what? Even though we've got some great fights coming up for the rest of this year, I think Canelo, Caleb Plant's going to be a great fight. Terence Crawford and Sean Porter's going to be a great fight. In my mind, I was just like, there is no way that we are going to get a better fight than this year. It's not possible. This fight had everything.
Everything. Not the way it played out. I can't see. I can't see that.
I can't see it.
Where it's going back and forth.
Where both fighters are getting dropped. You know, the animosity, the hatred, everything. Like, I just can't. I just said this fight has to be fight of the year.
Yeah.
And that final fight cemented that trilogy as one of the greatest trilogies that we will ever see in the sport of boxing.
100%. It definitely goes up there. It goes up there with the likes of Bo and Holyfield. You know what I mean? It goes up there with, obviously we took the Frazier and Ali ones. It's never going to be really, because that was just brutal in terms of like a trilogy. But the excitement, the characters that you have in the boxing, as we're saying, Wilder, Fury, it's real hatred between, maybe not so much from Fury, but you can see the animosity coming from Wilder. And I say it's more in a sense of like, you've not been able to beat this guy, and that's what's stinging you right now. You know what I mean? That's what's eating at you. The fact that you went into the first fight, you didn't beat him. You've gone into the second fight, you've been absolutely mauled. You've gone into the third fight, and you then cannot accept the fact that you've been beat by the better boxer. Now, I always say this: when you've hit championship level, you've attained the belt, you've become a champion, you need to now personify that class as a champion. And I feel like let Wilder down, this is not a challenger. He's not coming as an underdog or challenger. He's coming as a former champion. You'll be always recognized as champ. You need to exude that characteristic of a champion. I felt like despite the fact that me and you could have beef or whatever level, things get said in it, build up to fights. But once you've been beaten by the better man in terms of your craft, you still have to have room of like, you know what? I give you your dues. I might not respect you outside the ring, but when we're in this ring together and we've shared moments, intimate moments, you know what I mean? Like in terms of like you're giving yourself to another person in the sense of like spiritually, in the sense of like your heart, in the sense of like, you're going in the ring, it's a dangerous sport. Like, you know, so you're risking it all. And for both fighters to come out the fight, obviously blessed. Obviously, Wilder was knocked out. You got all your faculties and stuff like that. And then someone comes to extend that, you know what, bro? Good fight. You got to get up and be like, okay. How did you feel about that? The fact that he didn't...
Do you know what, Dash? So, I couldn't agree with you more in what you just said there. I think you put it perfectly, yeah? And for me, it left a bitter taste in my mouth to see Wilder react like that after the fight. And to add to what you said, I'd go even further to say, had Wilder lifted Fury's arm after that fight, that picture would have been an iconic picture that would have never been forgotten.
He missed a moment. Missed a moment.
You've got moments, right? You've got pictures from, like, let's say Muhammad Ali. You know, that iconic photo with him standing over an opponent. I can't remember who it was over. Right?
Sonny Liston. Was it Liston?
Sonny Liston. Yeah. Right. And that image is so iconic that even in this day and age, that is used for marketing campaigns. It's put on clothing, right? And I just felt that was a moment for true greatness, where if you showed love to this guy, you seal your position in history. Undoubtedly, right?
Anything based on his defeat, because now all we're just seeing is pictures of him in a corner, bust up, bleeding. That could have been used instead. The trilogy's done.
100%. And the thing about it is, right, that going into the third fight, Wilder had a lot of detractors. He had a lot of people that were against him purely because of the fact that he made so many excuses about the outcome of the second fight. So a lot of people disliked him. But over the course of the fight, right, seeing his heart, seeing his determination, his drive, the fight that he produced, he turned a lot of heads. He made a lot of people change their tune about him, right? And he could have won over so many hearts.
So many hearts. He missed such an opportunity.
It was a golden opportunity, Dash. A golden opportunity. And he could have covered himself in glory.
Even the fact that he lost.
One act, hugging Fury or holding his hand up to say, you know what? He won. You know what I mean? Just that alone would have seen the outpouring of love for him on his social media accounts after the fight.
Even more so.
But in him wanting and choosing to stay so bitter towards him, I feel like now that it's an opportunity that's come and gone, and that's it. You know what I mean? You're always going to be seen as the bitter guy, and who wasn't happy about it. Like that's always going to be the moniker that you are brandished with forever. Now, do you see what I'm saying?
He could have literally, you know, in terms of that, as you said, man, I can't agree any more than that, because it's just like an opportunity to kind of just look. When you're in a professional game, man, you also just got to put your hand up. Like, if someone is better than you, man, this is our craft. This is our game. You admire that, like, you know what? I got beat by the better man. I'm trying to. This is elite level. We're striving to be the best. You have to fight the best. If you come up against the best and you don't pass that test, you're like, this was the best guy. You know what I mean? I can easily take the 1-2. I know we're competitive, but you know, as many people would see, is Fury 1, Wilder pretty much 2, and you've lost to the number 1 heavyweight. What
is there
more
any
can you
shame
do?
in that?
There's no anybody after that fight, even despite what he did, Wilder, we're still looking at Wilder and be like, you know what? You put some heart into that, man. You said exactly what you said. You're not going. There's no quit in you. You've been beaten by the better man. Get up. Congratulate. You don't even need to stay around for the interviews. Just show that. Well done, mate. Go back. If he trash talked him afterwards in different interviews, I would not even care about that, because you're still bitter in it. Like, we get it. Like, we're not saying that you have to be best friends. Go and trash him, but just show that respect. Like, we've shared the ring together on 3 occasions. 1 and 2, you show the respect. Why are you not doing it in the 3rd one? Is it because now it's definitive, you've lost? You know what I mean? He literally, I don't know if you've seen the footage where like they actually show that he goes in there and he's just like, nah. He's shaking his head like he's like, nah, it's like, go away. Yeah. And obviously then Fury's then speaking to Finkel and he's just like, look, man, like despite it all, I don't have a hate for this guy. We said what we needed to say, but we've come out of this now for the better. And just the opportunity to kind of show your class as a champion. You know what I mean? It's not a challenger. You're not feeling bitter because you never made it across the line. You've also tasted the championship gold, but now someone else is better than you, has now taken that. Just show your class, man. Move on, and you would have been the better for it.
100% Dash. And you know, one other thing to add to that is in showing that class, you also diffuse Tyson Fury. All you've done is given him even more ammunition to talk his trash. Right
onto you, yeah.
Which is exactly what he done afterwards. Like you gave him the opportunity to completely sun you, because after that, he's obviously going to speak. He's going to completely. He's going to talk to Shelley Finkel. He's going to talk to all of the interviewers and whatnot.
Yeah,
and he's going to trash you. He's going to talk about the fact that you're not a good sportsman. And
man said God will save. God will soften your heart.
Bro, man said I'm going to pray that God softens your heart, bro. Do you know how disrespectful that is, bro? A man to say that to you.
You're saying that your heart is so cold.
Knocked you out, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Man's like, no, I'm gonna pray for you. Do you know how?
I'm gonna pray for you.
I'm gonna pray after he's knocked you out.
I'm gonna pray for you, my brother.
Bro, that cart's deep, man. That cart's deep.
Bro. What can you say after that?
What can you say after that? Man said he's gonna pray for you. He's got no bitter or ill feeling towards you.
He's left everything in the ring now.
Bro, that is the worst kind of disrespect. Like, that's even worse than a man spitting in your face or something like that. The fact that he's been classy enough to do that is the worst kind of thing. And then to add insult to injury, he then sings after that.
Bro, I said it. I said that, bro, you've received the sing-along. Not only have you just kind of just let yourself down and you're still bitter about losing, he's prayed for you. And then he's singing. I don't even think if Fury would have sung. I know that he sings or whatever, but I don't think he really would have sung after that. But because when he took the mic, he was just like, it looked like he wasn't fully even prepared for it. He was just like, I got it now. I'm gonna show him. But just quickly, just to touch on, because I'm just conscious of the time and stuff. Like as you see on the ticket there, like what's next and who's next for either Fury or Wilder. So let's start with Wilder first. Okay. What's next for Wilder?
So, of course, we can't deny the fact that the what's the word for it? The clamor and the glitz and the glamour of the idea of him fighting against AJ now doesn't have the same impact as it once did, because they both have taken losses, and
they don't have the belts.
They don't have the belts, and so on and so forth. However, it would be a great disservice to this era of heavyweights if we don't still get those kind of fights.
Yeah,
right?
We need to see the bangers.
Regardless, we have now established that Tyson Fury is king of the hill, right? He is the fighter of the generation.
Head honcho.
Right? He's a head honcho.
Gypsy King.
We've established that. But that doesn't take away the fact that we still need to see the best of the rest fight the best of the rest.
Yeah, man. They need to stop ducking each other, man. This is the frustrating thing. They need to stop ducking
each other. I still want to see, now, regardless of whether they have the belts or not, I still want to see Wilder get in there with AJ. I still want to see Wilder get in there with Dillian White. Yeah.
100%.
Those two fights have to happen. Still happen for the sake of this era of heavyweights. And if they care to be remembered and go down in history, they would do everything in their power to fight each other. Otherwise, they're not going to be remembered. Everyone that we remember in history, in terms of legendary fighters, is because they fought the best. They fought the best of their era, and these guys are. I mean, they've earned enough money to last themselves a lifetime. But if legacy is an important thing for them, then they will understand that they need to fight against the best in the division.
It's like Lennox and Tyson. Although we know Tyson was over the hill, although we know that it was a fight that was already many years too late, but that fight still needed to become part of history. Exactly. And I'm not likening your AJs and Wilders as that caliber, but I'm just saying in our era, I totally agree that Wilder would need to obviously go for those fights there. So you think obviously Wilder's still got a fight in him?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I reckon Wilder, before he even considers retiring, he needs to definitely fight Dillian White and definitely fight AJ. Those fights have to happen. By hook or by crook, they have to happen for his legacy. If legacy is important to him. I know he's earned a pretty penny from the fights from Tyson Fury to the point where he doesn't really need to fight again. But if legacy is important to him, then he has to make that fight. Yeah.
Okay, so then now obviously going on to Wilder, I think pretty much for everybody, we know that it's there's no plans for retirement, but then at the same time, Fury, there's no plans for retirement, but at the same time, we don't know what's in Fury's mind. He can wake up tomorrow and literally be just like, I've done it all. This is it. I don't mind about not having all the belts. I know that I'm the best, as he's always pointed out, but there's a feeling in me he wants to get all those titles for his legacy. So if we're going on to the fight, I don't think he's going to get the Usyk fight because obviously contractually it's done pretty much between AJ.
Yeah.
So is it just a case where he's now just going to be waiting to fight the winner between Usyk and AJ, or there's the mandatory, which is obviously Dillian White and Otto Wallin coming? Where do you think that his stance is going to be right now? Because I can see even sometimes maybe even Fury be like, you know what, I don't even care about the WBC belt.
Yeah. So this is the thing. What makes it really difficult is the fact that Tyson Fury is such a loose cannon. He can do anything.
Anything he wants.
You can't anticipate, or you can't put, like, he is the kind of guy that can wake up tomorrow and just be like, yeah, I'm vacating. He's got that in his locker. Yeah. That's what makes it so difficult with him in particular, right?
And still say he's the lineal champ, still say that he's not been beaten for his belts, and still go for the other belts. Yeah, and still go for the other belts and just say, at one point in time, I've attained all of these belts. Maybe not as the undisputed, but I've touched all those belts and I've not been beaten for it.
Yeah, exactly that. And so all you can do is hope that he doesn't take that stance, or he doesn't think like that, and that he is willing to try and fight for the undisputed crown. What's dangerous though is, let's say we obviously know Eddie Hearn confirmed that AJ activated his rematch clause against Usyk, so that fight is going to probably happen but by the end of Q2 next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm confident that after that fight, we will get a strong push towards undisputed. If Usyk wins that fight, he's already spoken about the fact that he doesn't want to waste any time and he wants to go for undisputed.
Undisputed, yeah.
If AJ wins that fight, I'm very confident that he will push for undisputed as well, because he's probably thinking, yeah, what's the delay? We might as well.
There was no delays, yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm confident that either way, towards the end of next year, we're going to get an undisputed fight, right? The issue is, though, with Fury, is he can't sit around and wait for the outcome of Usyk versus AJ 2, because one, he's spoken about the fact that sitting on the shelf for too long, he starts to fall back into his old habits and old ways, and there is that chance that he slips back into the depression because he's not training, and we lose that fight altogether, right?
Yeah.
It's also potentially dangerous him sitting on the shelf, because you want to be an active fighter going.
You want to be sharp, yeah. You want to sharpen your tools.
You want to sharpen your tools. You want to be ready. You want to make sure that you're at the peak of your powers going into a fight of that magnitude. So he needs to have an interim fight, right? If he fights another guy that's along the lines of what was that guy, Seferis or whatever, or an Otto Wallin?
Yeah.
Is there a chance that he doesn't take that fight serious enough?
Serious, exactly.
So, you know, there's issues around that. So he then needs to then have a bit of a live opponent, which is why I get the reasoning on the part of Eddie Hearn to say, and on the part of the WBC to mandate the fight against Dillian White, you know, provided he comes through against Otto Wallin. I mean, for me, that fight, if Fury and Dillian White were to fight, it's a foregone conclusion. I think Fury beats him. So for that reason, I'm not too hyped about it. But I'm here for it because of the build-up. I think the build-up will be
100% ridiculously funny.
And I think you're also killing two birds with one stone, in the sense that you're satisfying a mandatory. You're fighting a caliber of fighter who is someone that you wake up for in terms of training.
Yeah.
And finally, Dillian White will get a world title shot that he's been crying about for so long. So it's
5 years, okay, man. 5 years.
You know what I mean? Finally, we're settling all of those things at once. So let's just get it done, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my stance in it.
Wow, man, Budge, we can go on and on about this. I know, and trust me, this is not going to be the last time that we get into fight. You alluded to some great fights that are coming up. Canelo versus Caleb Plant. We've got who we've got now?
Sean Porter and
Terence Crawford.
That fight's going to be crazy.
That's going to be popping off as well. So we've got some fights that we can definitely react to, and I would love to do this again and stuff like that, man.
It has to be done, my bro.
And like I said, I'm still buzzing off this fight. In fact, just after this talk itself, I need to go and watch the fight again, because I know there's going to be aspects of the fight I'm going to be like, oh man, I can't believe this, and like, whoa. But this is just what, as you said, with heavyweight boxing, it sets the precedence for boxing itself. It filters down, and now you're going to get more interested into the other fights. And obviously the casual fighters out there, do not be scared about jumping into boxing and watching. You don't need to be an historian of boxing. You don't need to be analytically perfect with it. Just go and watch, and for yourself with the eye test, you will see for yourself and how to break down a fight and how you enjoy the fight. It's the feeling what boxing gives you. That's the main thing. Everything else comes with just experience of watching the matches, and then you can start going and do your own research and stuff like that. So that would be my advice for people that always turn around and say, man, I'm not really into boxing like that. Go and watch it, man, because if you didn't watch this fight, I promise you, there's many people like, oh, did you watch the fight? No, I missed it. I'm just like, you missed the atmosphere. You can watch it again on the highlights or extended highlights, but it's not the same as watching things unfold. So that would be my advice, man. My 100%. Advice on that.
I certainly echo that, man. Dash, most certainly, man. This fight was a perfect advert for casual boxing fans, man. So,
100%.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that, guys. get on it, man. Like it gives you a feeling that nothing else can, honestly.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, bro. I'm looking forward to the
100%.
we can chop it up about, man.
We can definitely. Just before you go, man, please plug everything, like all your socials and where they can find you, because I want people to go and follow you. Budge, man, you're into your sports, whether it be boxing, football, everything like that, man. So where can they find you?
Yeah, 100%, man. Again, I just want to say a huge thanks to Dash for having me on the platform. It's been fun. The time's gone. Well, I can't even believe the time, to be honest. It's gone so quickly, man. But I've had a good time, man, and I'm looking forward to us doing it again sometime soon.
Brilliant.
For all of you guys that are locked in, please support. I'm doing exactly the same thing as Dash, man. We're trying to build our channels and our brands from the ground up, man. And we can't do it without your support. So follow me on all socials. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. And you can find me on YouTube. It's Talk to Budge, TALK2BUJ. And yeah, man, just follow me, man. We're on a journey. We're going to be bringing you analysis, breakdowns and stuff of boxing fights, of press conferences, of weigh-ins, all the rest of it, man. So we need you guys to support and share and so on and so forth, man. If you've got friends and people that you know that are into their boxing as well, please share our channels around, man, and help us grow our communities.
100%, man. I will put all the links in the description area so that you got a direct opportunity to check out the stuff. So there's no excuses. Just go in the description area, click, and then you're there. Subscribe and help us out. Like we said, without you guys, without your viewership, without your comments, without the community that we're trying to build, there's none of us here in it. So we need you lot's help. But man, Budge, once again, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And until the next time, guys, on A Dash of Sports, we out. Peace.
And with all that's been said, I'm going to leave it there for today. But thank you once again to Budge for joining me on the show today. And to you guys for tuning in to another episode of A Dash of Sports, episode 52. I truly appreciate your love and support with that. And if you need further information about future episodes or just your day-to-day sporting updates, today, come and check me out, man. I'm on Instagram and I'm also on Twitter, which is A Dash of Sports. I'll leave it down below here, A Dash of Sports, and I'll also leave my link and Budge's link in the description area so that you'll be able to check us out directly. And please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Smash that like button, comment, and help me to get these subs up. I truly appreciate your support with that. And remember to press the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my shows. With that being said, until the next time here on A Dash of Sports, peace.